The story begins with death row inmate Oh Young-hee, who has only days left before her execution. Every doctor rejects his request for a medical stay, but one surgeon discovers a rare blood disorder that could save his life. Prison officials have no choice but to postpone the execution. Instead of asking for money, the doctor, Na Yi-jae, requests a recommendation letter to become the new medical director at Western Seoul Penitentiary. When asked why he wants the position, he simply says he is waiting for someone who will soon be sent there. Taekang Group's reckless second heir, Lee Jae-hwan, has been sentenced to 3 years in prison on drug charges. 3 years earlier, however, he was one of the country's most respected emergency surgeons, known for saving patients that other doctors had already given up on. He was made to sign a fake diagnosis report. His subordinate says, "You can treat multiple people at almost no cost if you sign this." While Taekang Group appoints the elder brother, Lee Jae-joon, to lead the company, Jae-hwan explodes in anger after being pushed aside. A fatal accident takes place. Na Yi-jae immediately takes charge of the emergency room as multiple victims arrive at once. Among them is his former patient, a pregnant woman suffering a severe brain injury, and her husband, who dies in the hospital. Lee Jae-hwan is also rushed into the hospital. Hospital executives interrupt Yi-jae during emergency surgery and order him to leave his patient to treat the chairman's son instead. Yi-jae refuses without hesitation. Yi-jae finally completes the surgery, but the delay proves devastating. The patient dies due to cardiac arrest. Jae-hwan comes before him and accuses him of medical malpractice. Yi-jae is taken away by the police. Young-hee contacts Yi-jae, saying she knows why he wanted to join that prison. Yi-jae goes to the prison, meets officers and the medical director of the prison. None of them expected him. He was overqualified for the position. On the way to Western Seoul Penitentiary, Lee Jae-hwan's prison transport bus crashes. Being injured, he thought his men came to save him, but he found Na Yi-jae before him. Dr. Han evaluates a death row inmate who claims hallucinations forced him to commit murder in hopes of delaying his execution. After reviewing multiple psychological tests, Dr. Han proves the inmate is only pretending to be mentally ill. The prosecution rejects the stay of execution. Before leaving, the prosecutor reminds Dr. Han that Lee Jae-hwan is arriving today. While examining Jae-hwan's injuries, Yi-jae discovers a punctured lung that could kill him within minutes. Jae-hwan smugly admits the accident was arranged by him to avoid entering prison. Yi-jae calmly tells him that this time, he will make sure Jae-hwan ends up exactly where he belongs. Before the prison authorities can take control, members of the Sang-chun gang secretly remove Jae-hwan from the accident scene with Yi-jae's help. As prison officials arrive, they discover 3 inmates have disappeared, including Lee Jae-hwan. Mo Yi-ra approaches prison medical director Sun Min-sik. She reminds him that Lee Jae-joon isn't the only person who controls Taekang Hospital. Jae-joon tries to contact Director Sun, but he learns that Director Sun is already with Mo Yi-ra. At the hospital, Lee Jae-hwan's condition suddenly becomes critical. Doctors discover his spleen has ruptured, causing severe internal bleeding. He needs immediate surgery. After taking a call, Na Yi-jae calmly walks into the operating room. As the operation begins, Director Sun tries to stop immediately, but Yi-jae calmly cites the emergency medical law. Yi-jae continues the operation. Just when Director Sun is about to force the surgery to stop, Lee Jae-joon suddenly arrives. He gives Yi-jae permission to continue. Mo Yi-ra can only watch helplessly as Yi-jae successfully stops the bleeding and saves Jae-hwan's life. Back at Taekang, Mo Yi-ra accuses Jae-joon of arranging the accident to eliminate his own brother. Jae-joon fires back. After the operation, Jae-joon privately questions Yi-jae about the accident. He didn't save Jae-hwan out of mercy. He wants him alive inside prison. Yi-jae then boldly asks Jae-joon to appoint him as the prison's next medical director. 2 weeks later, Na Yi-jae officially arrives at Western Seoul Penitentiary as the new medical director. The moment he walks through the gates, inmates begin cheering his name. On his very first day, Yi-jae deliberately begins treating patients inside Director Sun's office. Furious, Director Sun reminds him that he is still officially in charge and that Yi-jae is only his replacement on paper. Instead of fighting openly, Yi-jae quietly investigates years of prison medical records. He discovers that Director Sun repeatedly sent wealthy inmates to the same private hospital. Yi-jae sends them to Director Sun's house. That evening, Yi-jae invites the prison staff to a welcome dinner before calling Director Sun himself. Rather than threatening him directly, Yi-jae politely invites him to join the celebration. Hidden behind that invitation is a clear warning. Dr. Choi came before Director Sun's car, saying he was abducted before the interview. Late that night, Han So-geum secretly returns to the prison archives and searches through years of medical records. She discovers records connected to Han Bit, So-geum's younger brother, revealing he once served time in the same prison before mysteriously disappearing. Sun Min-sik begins covering his tracks. He orders the surveillance cameras near the medical ward to be turned off, collects an unusually large dose of insulin, and heads straight for Kim Sang-chun. He injects Kim Sang-chun with a dangerous amount of insulin. Yi-jae rushes back to the prison under the pretense of checking on a patient. While Sun struggles to keep him out, Han So-geum secretly opens the medical ward for Yi-jae. He arrives just in time. Han So-geum tells him about the insulin overdose, and Yi-jae leads the emergency treatment that saves Kim Sang-chun's life before permanent brain damage can occur. Sun attempts to turn the situation against Yi-jae by accusing him of conspiring with Kim Sang-chun. But Yi-jae reveals a secret, proving Sun's family member as a hidden investor of Haeun Hospital. The warden arrives before Sun can retaliate and warns him. Han So-geum questions Yi-jae's real intentions, believing he only wants power inside the prison. He reveals knowing about her missing brother, Han Bit, and that he met him inside this very prison. Realizing their illegal dealings could be exposed, Sun Min-sik decides to lure Yi-jae into an alliance. At the same time, Mo Yira pressures Sun Min-sik to guarantee Lee Jae-hwan's medical stay within 2 months. To earn her trust, Sun secretly records Yi-jae's conversation with Kim Sang-chun and hands over prison CCTV footage. In return, Sun demands the prestigious position of head of Taikang Hospital's VIP Center. He even quotes a line of Darwin, "It is not the strongest who will survive, but those who can manage change best." Yi-jae suddenly orders one of Sun's wealthy VIP inmates to be transferred back to prison after proving his illness was exaggerated. The inmate's furious father immediately calls Sun, threatening to expose the massive bribes he paid in exchange for his son's medical stay. Sun realizes Yi-jae has deliberately attacked the foundation of his entire corruption network. Employees gossip that Yi-jae has no chance of surviving against someone as powerful as Sun Min-sik. Yi-jae quietly transfers the violent drug addict to another prison cell. He has been placed inside the Black Snake Gang's territory. Moments later, the gang brutally attacks him. Sun threatens to expose Yi-jae's secret meeting with Kim Sang-chun using prison surveillance footage. Yi-jae calmly reveals the footage has already been automatically deleted after 30 days. Confident he still has a backup, Sun calls Lee Jae in, only to learn she has also sided with Yi-jae. Yi-jae explains that partnerships last only as long as both sides remain useful. He declares that from this moment forward, the real king inside Western Seoul Penitentiary is him now, not Yi-jae. Yi-jae reveals that Lee Jae-hwan was only bait to lure Director Sun into the open. Yi-jae reminds her that while the prison buried her brother Han Bit's disappearance, he intends to expose the truth. So-geum refuses to join Yi-jae, convinced revenge has blinded him. Yi-jae opens a file on his phone with the names of inmates who stayed in Han Bit's ward. He sends that as an anonymous email to Han So-geum. Dr. Oh warns Yi-jae that Director Sun is protected by one of the country's most influential medical families. After recalling how corruption led to his mother's death, he vows to destroy everyone responsible. Lee Jae-hwan's lawyers discover Yi-jae entered the prison not to target Jae-hwan, but to bring down Director Sun. The Sun family panics over a secret investor list that could expose their entire illegal medical empire. Their patriarch orders Director Sun to recover the list at any cost, even if it means eliminating Yi-jae. Director Sun traces Yi-jae's movements and learns he photographed only 3 pages of the confidential investor records rather than stealing the original file. Convinced the complete list is hidden somewhere else, he intensifies the search. Yi-jae later visits Lee Jae-hwan, hinting the original list is still hidden inside the prison itself. Surveillance footage shows Kim Sang-chun carrying a Haeun Hospital envelope. Director Sun's team tears through Kim Sang-chun's stored belongings but finds nothing. The next morning, Yi-jae publicly cements his victory. During the daily briefing, he officially assigns Director Sun to accompany regular inmate rounds for the remainder of his time at the prison. Shin reveals his own men secretly handle outgoing inmate packages, meaning he knows Kim Sang-chun never mailed the actual investor list. The real document was mailed under another inmate's name, Tai Chun-ho. Yi-jae receives an unexpected call from Lee Jae-in, who reveals that the young woman Yi-jae has been protecting is actually Kim Hee-jin. Lee Jae-in also approaches Yi-jae with an offer of cooperation. She promises to protect Kim Hee-jin while asking Yi-jae to save her brother Lee Jae-hwan. Kim Hee-jin suddenly collapses after receiving a mysterious video call. The final caller listed is none other than Director Sun. Kim Sang-chun gets arrested for document theft. Director Sun broadcasts the arrest to Kim Hee-jin through a live video call, forcing the terrified girl to watch her father dragged away in handcuffs. Desperate to save him, she immediately offers to surrender the document Kim Sang-chun mailed her. Determined to eliminate Yi-jae once and for all, Director Sun prepares his next move. Moments later, Yi-jae receives an urgent call claiming Kim Sang-chun has attempted suicide. As he rushes back toward the prison, another flashback reveals the disturbing truth about Han Bit. The young inmate lost consciousness after receiving medication directly from Yi-jae before being transferred to the hospital. Director Sun has already prepared a deadly trap inside the prison. Yi-jae discovers the medical sector has been completely emptied under the cover of a nighttime fire drill. Director Sun secretly records the deserted medical sector. Determined to catch Yi-jae firsthand, Yi-jae quickly realizes the entire drill was staged to isolate him. Moments later, Kim Sang-chun and his men surround him with knives, ordered to cut off his hand in exchange for freedom. Instead of panicking, Yi-jae exposes the truth. Kim Sang-chun is dying from bile duct cancer. He promises Director Sun a real medical stay and a chance to spend time with Kim Hee-jin before she dies. Kim Sang-chun hesitates, torn between Sun's orders and Yi-jae's offer. Just as the standoff reaches its peak, the lights suddenly go out. When Sun Min-sik's security camera arrives, Kim Sang-chun has been stabbed. Yi-jae calmly explains that a struggle broke out among Sang-chun's own men and demands immediate transfer for emergency surgery. After surgery, Kim Sang-chun breaks down over the daughter he only recently discovered. Yi-jae promises to help him obtain a stay of execution and reunite with her. But Sun Min-sik arrives and coldly warns that Kim's daughter may not survive long enough to see him free because he will keep him confined. Chairman Kim of J.H. Steel gains a powerful new position inside Taikang Hospital, while rumors spread through the prison that Yi-jae has rescued Kim Sang-chun from death twice in a row. Then a dangerous new inmate arrives, Kim Seok-woo, the violent son of J.H. Steel's chairman. His file reveals multiple assaults, confinement, threats, and attempted rape, along with a failed attempt to fake mental illness for a stay of execution. When Yi-jae begins questioning him, Seok-woo smugly assumes he can simply buy his way out of prison. Yi-jae carefully questions convicted serial rapist Kim Seok-woo, realizing Seok-woo is a true psychopath rather than mentally unstable. Yi-jae changes his approach. Instead of encouraging his behavior, he tells Seok-woo the only way to escape prison is by convincing everyone he suffers from bipolar disorder. He deliberately provokes another violent outburst, has Seok-woo restrained and sedated. After learning Yi-jae brutally assaulted Kim Seok-woo, Director Sun demands an explanation. Yi-jae claims he lost control because one of Seok-woo's victims had once been his own patient, making it impossible to forgive the monster responsible. Yi-jae offers to secure Seok-woo's release in exchange for complete access to the family's medical histories, DNA records, previous hospital files, and unrestricted medical support. Instead of asking for money, Yi-jae requests one personal favor to allow Kim Sang-chun to spend his terminally ill daughter's final moments by her side. Yi-jae discovers Wilson's disease, a rare genetic disorder capable of causing both liver damage and psychiatric symptoms similar to bipolar disorder. He receives Kim Sang-chun's stolen Haein hospital files. Among the documents are Han Bit's deleted prescriptions, which Yi-jae immediately forwards to Dr. Han So-geum as proof that medical care deliberately concealed critical evidence. Han So-geum compares the recovered prescriptions with Haein Hospital's official records and realizes someone intentionally erased part of Han Bit's treatment history. She was treating Lee Jae-joon's psychiatric issues. She also realizes that Yi-jae was just giving emergency treatment to Han Bit, not harming him. Yi-jae finally reveals part of his plan to Han So-geum. Using Wilson's disease as the foundation, he intends to manufacture symptoms that will make Kim Seok-woo appear bipolar instead of psychopathic, dramatically improving his chances of obtaining a medical stay and a lighter sentence. Chairman Kim agrees to finance the operation. while Yi-jae reminds him that once everything succeeds, he expects the same level of support the chairman once gave Director Sun. Inside prison, Lee Jae-hwan's mental condition continues deteriorating. Attorney Nam Gu-ri-na officially joins his legal team, while Director Sun learns Yi-jae has begun arranging Kim Seok-woo's medical diagnosis. Director Sun unexpectedly allows Yi-jae to submit the entire medical stay application under his own name, secretly turning him into the public face of the case. Director Sun reports Oh Jung-hee's suspicious execution delay to prosecutors, leading investigators to discover that the same doctor, Na Yi-jae. 3 weeks later, Yi-jae begins the final phase of his plan. He warns Seok-woo the treatment could kill him before the examination even takes place, but Seok-woo willingly accepts the risk if it means freedom. Official psychiatric evaluation takes place at Taekang Hospital. Na Yi-jae's first move against Taekang Hospital begins with one of the country's most dangerous inmates. Yi-jae claims Kim Seok-woo suffers from the rare genetic disorder Wilson's disease. Everyone assumes the diagnosis is fake, but every test result and every detail is precise enough to fool the country's top specialists. Director Sun confidently predicts Yi-jae's entire plan will collapse inside Taekang Hospital. The examination immediately draws the attention of Taekang Hospital's elite doctors, including Han So-gum, who once worked alongside Yi-jae. She bluntly tells him no amount of manipulation can erase Kim Seok-woo's psychopathic nature. Prosecutor Young visits execution broker Oh Jung-hee after discovering another suspicious medical suspension request identical to one of her previous schemes. He quickly realizes Na Yi-jae is now using the same methods that once made Oh Jung-hee free. One examination after another begins confirming Yi-jae's diagnosis. Kim Seok-woo's blood work, liver condition, eye examination, and neurological symptoms all perfectly match Wilson's disease. Jae-joon finds out Han Bit is still alive. Han So-gum finally confronts Yi-jae, realizing he deliberately sabotaged Kim Seok-woo's MRI so the psychopath could qualify for a medical suspension. Yi-jae reminds Han of the innocent victims Taekang abandoned, his dying mother, the disabled couple who lost their unborn daughter Ha-eun, and Han's own missing brother. He tells her, "Have you ever felt what it feels to lose your loved one?" Yi-jae gets flashbacks of his mother and those handicapped couple whom he couldn't save. Han comforts Kim Seok-woo's burn victim, Oh Min-jong, promising that the man who ruined her life will never hurt anyone again. After hearing Yi-jae's argument and sitting with the victim, Han secretly orders Kim Seok-woo to undergo a second psychiatric examination. Choi informs Director Sun that everything is unfolding according to his plan. He continues his corrupt schemes while charitable organizations are linked to wealthy inmates. But the prosecution suddenly orders a new psychiatric evaluation, destroying Yi-jae's original strategy. Kim Seok-woo realizes Han is trying to block his release and violently stabs her before prison guards can react. Yi-jae desperately keeps her alive until surgeons arrive. As Han fights for her life, burn victim Oh Min-jong reveals that another doctor manipulated her into confronting Han, exposing Director Sun's hidden involvement. Prosecutors immediately launch a full investigation into every medical suspension Yi-jae has ever approved. Director Lee uncovers Yi-jae's real objective. It was to expose years of medical corruption. Yi-jae finally confronts Director Sun, declaring that he is willing to stain his own hands to save others. 3 years earlier, Na Yi-jae arrives as an inmate himself. One inmate deliberately injures himself to escape his cell and reach the medical sector. The guards dismiss him as another troublesome prisoner, but his condition suddenly worsens and becomes life-threatening. Yi-jae treats him as a doctor. That inmate turns out to be the brother of another doctor serving time in that same cell block. Because of this incident, Yi-jae earns a place inside the medical sector, the most valuable area in prison. There he meets Han Bit, another inmate who recognizes his medical skills. Han Bit reveals that his sister is Han So-gum, a psychiatrist at Taekang Hospital. Han Bit leaves to join the special sector. Soon after transferring there, he becomes another victim of the prison's hidden system. Director Sun secretly gives him medication to force him out quickly. Yi-jae discovers Han Bit has been repeatedly drugged with medication. Before collapsing, Han Bit warns Yi-jae that the person controlling Director Sun is extremely dangerous. He begs Yi-jae not to tell his sister So-gum if anything happens because exposing the truth could put her life at risk. His final message points toward Congressman Young Min-jae. Seok-woo's father demands answers after his son loses his chance for medical suspension. Yi-jae refuses to accept responsibility, claiming the failure happened because Kim Seok-woo lost control during the psychiatric evaluation. Director Sun suspects Jae worked with Chief Director Mo Yi-ra to gain Chairman Kim's support, but Sun reveals that he secretly recorded the meeting between Jae and Chairman Kim, where they discussed manipulating Kim Seok-woo's condition to reduce his sentence. Jae gathers his allies, goes to Oh Jung-hee's place, and reveals that the prosecution has started investigating the fake medical diagnosis that helped Oh Jung-hee avoid execution. Jae's next target is Sun's hidden source of power, the illegal medicine operation inside Western Seoul Penitentiary. Sun makes enormous profits by exploiting prisoners who had no way to fight back. Before Jae can complete his plan, Prosecutor Young arrests Jae and Oh Jung-hee and takes them to interrogate. Ms. Bak was then the only one left outside to execute the plan. The prosecution brings in Han So-geum as their key witness, expecting her to confirm that Jae manipulated Kim Seok-woo's condition, but instead, Han protects him. After saving Jae, Han asks for his help finding her missing brother, Han Bit. Before disappearing, Bit met Congressman Young Min-jae inside the prison's special sector. Jae moves forward with his final trap. By tracking the prison's medicine shipment, he discovers the entire illegal transfer route from the prison pharmacy to outside facilities where the stolen drugs were repackaged and sold. With enough evidence collected, the operation that Sun built for years finally begins collapsing. As the evidence reaches the authorities, inspectors raid the illegal distribution site and arrest those involved. Sun Min-sik gets arrested while Jae comes back to the penitentiary. 4 years earlier, Han So-geum shares a touching moment with her brother Han Bit before he leaves, reminding him that their grandmother's rosary ring helped inspire her to become a doctor. Young Lee Jae-joon struggles with his position inside the powerful Taekong family. The investigation uncovers evidence that Sun and Supervisor Ham secretly stole expensive government-issued medicines, replacing inmates' actual treatments with placebos while sending the real drugs outside. Jae's request for special drugs during Kim Seok-woo's medical suspension plan was never just about creating a fake illness. It was also a way to expose Sun's hidden crimes. While Sun struggles to survive the investigation, Jae prepares his next step. He asks Han So-geum to analyze the inmates connected to Sun's VIP network, searching for hidden deals and weaknesses. Together they discover that the special sector is filled with prisoners who have received suspicious privileges rather than genuine medical needs. Jae is officially appointed as the new medical director of Western Seoul Penitentiary. Jae enters the special sector with a completely different approach. Instead of giving special treatment to powerful inmates, he announces a full medical checkup for everyone. Moon Yang-seong refuses examination. By noticing abnormal pupil reactions, Jae realizes Moon is still using illegal drugs and orders emergency blood and urine tests. Meanwhile, in Ansan prison, a doctor reveals to Sun that Jae helped dozens of prisoners obtain suspended sentences through medical claims. Some prisoners who followed Jae's methods did not survive. Back in the special sector, Jae uses Moon's drug case to investigate the corruption hidden inside the VIP area. But former NIS director An Jin-chul immediately challenges him. Determined to destroy Jae, Sun investigates his movements over the past 3 years. The records reveal that Jae visited dozens of inmates across Seoul and Incheon prisons. Almost every prisoner he met later applied for a medical stay and was approved. But 2 names stand out because they never applied: Kim Sang-chun and Congressman Jung Min-jae. Jae then targets An Jin-chul, the man controlling information inside the special sector. His goal is not revenge against An Jin-chul, it is to reach someone connected to him. He asks Jung-hee to contact An's son. He meets Mo Yi-ra to get a dialysis machine for the prison to be able to shift Congressman Young to his prison. Han watches the old treatment records and finally discovers the missing connection. The person Han Bit met before disappearing was not random. It was director Lee Jae-joon. He threatened her with Han. Han So-geum watches another recorded message from her brother. Director Lee personally confronted Han Bit before his disappearance. Although Jae's explanation appears convincing, Jae-joon becomes intrigued. Someone sneaked into Han So-geum's office and took evidence. She couldn't find security footage. Ms. Mo was there. Director Sun doesn't accept his wrongdoings but provides evidence against Jae. Prosecutor Young corners Jae with explosive evidence, accusing him of using death row inmates as medical experiments. Oh Young-hee, believing she nearly became another victim, turns against Jae, But instead of panicking, Jae calmly points out a critical flaw. The inmate's death was officially caused by leukemia, not the fabricated Fanconi anemia. Haeun Hospital had been enrolling terminal prisoners into insurance policies, collecting huge payouts after their deaths. Park Gyeong-jun's own family reveals they received only half of the insurance money because hospital staff took the rest. As the truth spreads, Sun Min-sik realizes too late that Jae never intended to hide the deaths. While Sun desperately scrambles to contain the scandal, Jae quietly walks away, having turned the prosecutor's attack into a weapon against his enemies. And Jin-chul decides to side with Jae after seeing how well he treated his son. Lee Jae-joon gives leads to the prosecutor. Han meets Jae-joon for another psychiatric session. Prosecutor Jung decides to side with Na Jae as things were getting out of control. The prosecutor passes an arrest order using the evidence given by Jae. The entire Sun family and their assets are convicted, and Jin-chul and the special cell inmates leak the news. Jae meets Kim Seok-woo in prison and confronts him. 3 years earlier, Taekang chairman Lee Deok-seong collapses after confronting his eldest son, Lee Jae-joon, who planned this, and Han Bit was the only person who saw that. Previously, the chairman secretly orders his trusted analyst, Han Bit, to retrieve the original share certificates and deliver evidence of Taekang's corruption to Congressman Young. Han Bit successfully escapes with the shares, but to ensure his safety, he attacks the police and gets locked in. Jae forces Sun to transfer his hidden shares in Haeun Hospital, stripping away the hospital that profited from fake diagnoses and corrupt prison deals. Jae says Sun must finally pay for the patients who died because of his greed. With no other choice, Sun secretly contacts Lee Jae-joon and offers to follow any order in exchange for survival. Lee Jae-joon immediately tests Sun's loyalty by asking to dismiss Congressman Jung, who is about to transfer to Western Seoul. Jae gets a call from his sister. Han So-geum finally receives a call from her missing brother, Han Bit. She rushes to meet him, but Lee Jae-joon's people are already watching. Bit briefly appears before disappearing again during a frantic chase. Jae saves him in the rush, but Han So-geum is unaware of that. Demanding answers, So-geum confronts Jae-in and Mo Yira, who finally reveal the truth behind her brother's disappearance. Han Bit is the only person who can determine Taekang's next owner. They believe he will surface before the upcoming succession vote, whether willingly or by force. As Jae learns that both Sun Min-sik and Congressman Young are being transferred to Western Seoul Prison, he realizes every piece of the battle is about to converge inside his prison. During the transfer, Sun secretly injects Congressman Young with potassium, triggering a delayed cardiac arrest that will strike after they arrive at Western Seoul Prison to defame Jae. Jae quickly realizes the symptoms don't match a routine kidney emergency. Someone deliberately poisoned Young during the transfer. Sun demands information about Jae's investigation, believing the dying congressman is his last bargaining chip. Jae refuses to break first, forcing Sun to provide the antidote. Jae secretly hides Han Bit in his sister Ihyun's home, warning that Bit must remain invisible until the right moment. Worried that revenge will eventually cost her brother his life, Ihyun begs Jae to abandon everything. Jae gently refuses, explaining that someone must seek justice for the disabled couple and their unborn child, whose deaths everyone else has already forgotten. Lee Jae-joon finally discovers evidence proving Jae helped Han Bit escape years ago. Sun gets into Congressman Young's dialysis room with an injection to again use him as bait, but he finds him dead there. Being shocked, he makes noise, which makes other nurses get into the place. Jae-joon finds out Jae's last location and traces Bit's location. Jae gets a call from an unknown caller while meeting Han So-geum. 3 years earlier, Lee Jae-joon quietly arranges the elimination of another obstacle. Drug addict Hong Nam-pyo deliberately crashes his truck into a vehicle carrying victims connected to Taekang Chemical. Taekang's people negotiate a light sentence, but Hong threatens that if he doesn't get drugs on time, he will reveal the truth. Guards immediately restrain Sun, while Jae, unable to reach the prison in time, asks his team to continue CPR and transfer him to Haeun Hospital. Lee Jae-joon placed his men around Jae's sister's house. Han Bit woke up. Ihyun calls Jae to be aware of the situation. To save them, Han So-geum offers to use her as a trap. A doctor from prison injected potassium into Young. He deleted that footage also. For safety, Jae takes his sister, Han Bit, and Han So-gyum to Oh Jung-hee's place. At the funeral, Jae confronts Lee Jae-joon directly, accusing him of murdering the congressman and demanding the missing share certificates. Jae openly declares that Jae-joon will eventually answer for Congressman Young's death, while Prosecutor Jung quietly overhears the explosive confrontation and begins questioning whether Lee Jae-joon truly orchestrated the murder. Lee Jae-joon's men trace Jung's prison parcel records and discover that the original Taekang share certificates were secretly mailed to Oh Jung-hee. Jae changes course after Congressman Jung's assassination. Convinced Lee Jae-joon will never confess voluntarily, he decides to strike immediately, promising to force him into prison before the succession battle can even begin. Jae's attention then shifts to Hong Nam-pyo, the hitman recently released from prison. Lee Jae-joon's men welcome him back with food, drinks, and methamphetamine. Hong is preparing to flee the country before anyone can question him about the murders. Jae immediately begins arranging his arrest before Taekang's people can eliminate him first. As Hong heads toward the airport, Jae finally reveals the truth to Prosecutor Jung. The same driver responsible for killing Jae's handicapped couple patient was also behind the deadly Taekang chemical protest attack, and both crimes were ordered by Lee Jae-joon. Lee Jae-joon's men prepare to murder Hong with a tranquilizer. Hong is arrested on narcotics charges instead, and Jae transfers him safely to West Seoul Prison. Inside West Seoul Prison, Hong refuses to confess despite hours of questioning. Knowing meth withdrawal will leave him emotionally unstable, Jae recruits recovering former addicts to exploit Hong's overwhelming hunger and cravings. Hong admits that Choi Jung-woo, Lee Jae-joon's assistant, ordered both fatal vehicle attacks, with Lee Jae-joon personally supervising the operation. Armed with witness testimony, video evidence, and a formal criminal petition, Jae asks Han Bit to be prepared for a press conference. He officially demands Lee Jae-joon's arrest, bringing his long-awaited revenge within reach. As Jae's complaint reaches the prosecution, Lee Jae-joon immediately moves to contain the investigation. He pressures Prosecutor Jung with promises of career advancement in exchange for burying Hong Nam-pyo's testimony. Jae-joon's men kidnap psychiatrist Han So-gyum, forcing Jae's allies into panic. Jae doesn't fall back. They use this opportunity to test Jae-joon's psychological state. Han So-gyum carefully guides Lee Jae-joon into discussing the childhood trauma that shaped his obsession with power. Jae-joon brings her to his abandoned family home and tells her how he and his mother faced trauma in that house, along with his mother's suicide. Jae-joon contacts Jae and demands every piece of evidence against him in exchange for So-gyum's release. Believing he has finally secured Chairman Lee's shares, Lee Jae-joon arrives at Taekang Hospital expecting ownership to be transferred into his hands. Ms. Mo shows him a hidden donation contract. Chairman Lee legally gifted every share to Congressman Young 3 years earlier. Han Bit will be in charge as the official manager for overseeing the Nam Cheon Foundation. Although Jae-joon was furious, he accepts the setback and warns Jae that their battle is far from over. Lee Jae-joon realizes Jae has completely disrupted his succession plan and vows revenge. Hyun leaves the country. Jae meets Mo Yira, and they explain that the real battle has only begun. Control of Taekang Group will ultimately be decided by whoever becomes the next director of Taekang Hospital's VIP Center. Director Sun escapes arrest after the court rules that the medical stay request was legally within his authority. Jae demands the evidence left behind by Congressman Jung, but Sun refuses to hand over his final bargaining chip. Jae offers Sun the opportunity to control the VIP Center. Oh Young-hee confronts Prosecutor Jung over secretly burying criminal complaints for powerful people. Jae recommends Sun as their candidate for the VIP Center. Chairman Kim immediately refuses, but then Jae reveals that he found Jung Seong-uk, a prisoner who is a perfect liver donor for Kim Seok-woo. Chairman Kim reluctantly agrees to recommend Director Sun for the position. Lee Jae-joon recruits Dr. Jong Min-seok, the doctor who once forced Jae to sign a fake diagnosis, promising him the VIP Center position in exchange for administering a single fatal injection to Chairman Lee. Jae's team searches for the missing potassium bottle and syringe used in Congressman Young's murder. Ms. Bach confides in Dr. Han that someone she trusted may have committed a terrible crime. Dr. Go attacks Mo Yira's son. While others were unsure of Sun because of his weak image, Jae says, "We can eliminate other candidates." After escaping prison, Sun reunites with Lee Jae-joon. Their meeting reveals someone murdered Congressman Young without Lee Jae-joon's knowledge. Lee Jae-joon visits his hospitalized father, where he tries to kill his father. Yi-jae confronts him. Bok Hye-soo discovers that the potassium vial and syringe connected to Congressman Jung's death have disappeared. She alerts Yi-jae. Yi-jae captures Go Young-chul, tampering with the prison security system, and immediately forwards the footage to Prosecutor Young. The prosecution arrests Go Young-chul for Congressman Young's murder. With only days remaining before the VIP Center election, Yi-jae shifts his attention to Lee Jae-joon's preferred candidate, Dr. Jang Min-suk. Gastroenterologist Baek Jun-soo, who previously helped fabricate medical reports during the Congressman Young case, agrees to conceal Jang's condition. At the same time, Han So-gyeom investigates Dr. Go's past and discovers why he lost everything years earlier. As director of Jelly Obstetrics and Gynecology, he refused to falsify medical reports linking Taikang Chemical to widespread miscarriages among female workers because the evidence was medically inconclusive. Jang begins suffering severe intestinal complications hidden by the painkillers. Yi-jae confronts him in the emergency room. VIP Center presentation. Jang is forced to choose between emergency surgery and the career he sacrificed everything to protect. Yi-jae demands to know who ordered him to fabricate Congressman Jung's medical report and who blocked his mother's life-saving operation. Jang refuses to confess fully. He reveals that Chairman Lee Deok-seong is also dying at that very moment. Only after finishing the operation does Yi-jae receive the call confirming the chairman's death. The chairman's funeral tears the family apart. Lee Jae-hwan completely loses control, crying like a child. He accuses Lee Jae-joon of murdering their father. Lee Jae-hwan swallows his pride and begs Yi-jae for a medical stay of execution. This time, he promises absolute obedience. Yi-jae discovers Jae-hwan's childhood epilepsy could be the key. The warden, without consulting him, has already hired a replacement for the vacant prison doctor position. It's Choi Dong-hoon, Sun's man. Yi-jae accepts Director Sun's offer to recruit Choi Dong-hoon into the prison hospital in exchange for the recording. Director Sun assumes now he can monitor every move inside the prison. He orders Choi that if Lee Jae-hwan insists on leaving through a stay of execution, they should let him die before he ever walks out. Choi Dong-hoon officially joins the prison hospital but quickly becomes overwhelmed by violent inmates. Yi-jae continues pushing Lee Jae-hwan toward severe rhabdomyolysis, adjusting the treatment until Lee Jae-hwan develops the unmistakable signs of it, including cola-colored urine that confirms serious muscle breakdown. Declaring it a medical emergency, Yi-jae orders his immediate transfer to an outside hospital. Yi-jae then turns Director Sun's own spy into a weapon. Pretending both men have confessed to attempting Lee Jae-hwan's murder, Yi-jae demands the recording of Lee Jae-joon ordering the Taikang chemical killings in exchange for their lives. The call was taken by Lee Jae-joon. Yi-jae's dangerous plan nearly ends in disaster when Lee Jae-hwan suddenly suffers cardiac arrest during treatment. After an intense resuscitation, he is barely brought back to life. Chairman Lee's wife rushes to the hospital where Yi-jae explains that immediate dialysis will save her son's life but also eliminate his stay of execution. Lee Jae-hwan regains consciousness and chooses to risk his own life for one final chance to escape prison legally. Lee Jae-joon strikes back by ordering a nationwide reinvestigation of every inmate who received a medical stay through Northern Prison, placing Oh Young-hee's case under immediate scrutiny. Realizing the investigation is aimed directly at Yi-jae, Prosecutor Young secretly arranges a delayed medical examination before Taikang's influence forces his transfer out of Seoul. Sun Min-sik exploits both sides for his own survival. Yi-jae searches the Lee family's medical history for another disease, convincing enough to secure a stay of execution. Chairman Lee's widow reveals that her husband suffered years of agonizing neurological symptoms beyond Alzheimer's. Yi-jae finally learns the true reason Lee Jae-joon destroyed his life. Years earlier, Yi-jae saved Taikang chemical workers injured after a staged truck attack, unintentionally ruining Lee Jae-joon's plan to erase witnesses connected to the chemical scandal and costing him his father's approval. In retaliation, Lee Jae-joon manipulated Congressman Jung's false diagnosis and blocked Yi-jae's mother's life-saving surgery. Yang Min-seok then reveals that Jae-joon is developing the same mysterious hereditary neurological disease that killed Chairman Lee. Jae-joon finally confesses the truth behind Chairman Lee's death. After learning he had inherited Huntington's disease, he was enraged when his father decided to leave Taikang Group to Yira, Jae-hoon, and Jae-in instead of him. Jae-joon secretly accelerated his father's illness. He then reveals that he has done the same to Jae-hoon, claiming he merely helped the hereditary disease arrive sooner before vowing to send his younger brother to join their father. Jae-in secretly gives Jae-joon's confidential medical records, proving he has Huntington's disease. The illness is hereditary. Exposing Jae-hoon's condition could also expose Jae-joon's own secret. Although Yira is devastated by the possibility that her son inherited the disease, Jae-hoon insists on continuing the plan, determined to bring down the brother who murdered their father even if it cost him his own future. Jae-hoon breaks down after accepting that he may have inherited the same disease that killed his father. Oh Jung-hee unexpectedly comforts him. Jae presents MRI scans that appear to confirm Huntington's disease. Believing her son is dying, Yira desperately begs for more tests before collapsing from shock, unaware that the diagnosis is part of Jae's carefully staged trap. Jae sets an elaborate trap to expose Lee Jae-joon. With Sun Min-sik's help, the rehabilitation room is emptied, surveillance cameras are manipulated, and a hidden wiretap is planted on Lee Jae-hoon. Believing his brother will come to finish him off, Jae-hoon agrees to act as bait, while Jae, Prosecutor Jung, and the others listen in remotely, ready to record every confession. Jae-joon discovers the hidden wiretap and immediately changes his plan, secretly replacing the lethal injection with a different drug before leaving the room. At the same time, a suspected tuberculosis outbreak throws the entire prison into chaos, forcing Jae away from the operation. By the time he returns, Lee Jae-hoon suddenly collapses in cardiac arrest. Doctors fight desperately to revive him while Jae frantically calls Jae-joon, who coldly reveals that the first injection was only ketamine and taunts him into discovering the second drug on his own. As the medical team struggles to save Jae-hoon, Jae realizes his carefully planned operation has turned into a catastrophe. Lee Jae-hoon is left brain-dead, leaving his mother devastated. Jae admits he anticipated the possibility of failure and accepts full responsibility for the tragedy. She chooses to help him bring Lee Jae-joon down first. Jae swears that no matter the cost, he will destroy the man. Lee Jae-joon retaliates by leaking scandalous photos to destroy Prosecutor Jung's career. Sun Min-sik hides the only surviving recording of Jae-joon's confession on a USB drive. Although the wiretap cannot directly convict him, toxicology results prove the drugs used on Lee Jae-hoon differ from those found in Chairman Lee's body, opening a new avenue of investigation. Armed with this evidence, Jae requests a private meeting with Lee Jae-joon, who smiles confidently and agrees, setting the stage for their final confrontation. Jae deliberately confronts Lee Jae-joon alone and executes his carefully planned trap. After injecting Jae-joon with ketamine, he refuses to administer the antidote, forcing him to experience the same helpless fear suffered by countless victims. Desperate to survive, Jae-joon retaliates by stabbing Jae in the chest with a letter opener, exactly as Jae anticipated. Jae's willingness to risk his own life succeeds where every legal strategy had failed. Prosecutor Jung's determination finally convinces the prosecution to seek a formal arrest warrant. While recovering from emergency surgery, Jae anxiously learns that the warrant has been approved and Jae-joon has officially been transferred to Western Seoul Prison. Despite his own injuries, Jae immediately leaves for the prison to receive Jae-joon. Go-young Cheol struggles with whether to testify against Lee Jae-joon. Deeply shaken, young Cheol begins reconsidering his decision as news arrives that Lee Jae-joon has been transferred to West Seoul Prison. Knowing they have only 3 days before Taikang's decisive board meeting, Jae prepares to use both young Cheol's testimony and Jae-joon's worsening illness to permanently destroy his claim to the company. After being arrested for attempting to murder Jae, Lee Jae-joon immediately files for a detention review. Jae refuses to rely on the attempted murder charge alone. He continues gathering evidence before the upcoming Taikang board meeting, convinced that exposing Jae-joon's crimes and hereditary illness is the only way to stop his succession permanently. At the same time, Han So-gyum's heartfelt appeal finally reaches Go-young Chol. Taikang Medical Foundation Board officially gathers to elect its next chairman. Just as the election is about to start, Jae interrupts the proceedings and shocks everyone by bringing in Lee Jae-hoon before the vote is cast. Although barely alive, the voice recorder starts and shows all of Jae-joon's confession of guilt by himself. Jae-hwan wakes up. He points to Jae-joon as the man truly responsible. Cornered and out of options, Jae-joon breaks down, and the same neurological symptoms that killed his father surface in front of the entire board. He is arrested on the spot and sent to prison. Oh Young-hee is already serving her sentence when Prosecutor Young comes to visit her. Yi-jae tells Jae-joon he won't be walking out again as long as he's the one running the place. The story closes on Yi-jae answering one last phone call. All he says is, "Leave him." Yi-jae walked into that prison to destroy the men who ruined his life. What he built instead was a debt he could finally pay. To a mother he couldn't save, and to two patients the world had already agreed to forget. That was Dr. Prisoner. If this story stayed with you, stay with me. There are more stories worth your attention. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next immersion.